Welcome to Private Screening, a made-for-fun podcast serving as a time capsule documenting COVID's impact on the entertainment industry. I'm Sam.
And I'm Grant. Neither of us have literally any experience with any form of storytelling or creative input. We just wanted to do this for fun and record our thoughts and opinions on media during this time.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, especially with the plethora of content that's come out recently at the end of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So,
a lot of things to look forward to. First things first, as usual. Grant, how have you been? You been doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Good.
This is literally a finals week for me
at
college.
Dang.
So, this is my study break. Just doing this recording.
This is how you take a day off?
In a sense,
okay,
you could say. But yes, I literally have 4 finals this semester that I need to be studying for. I know I'm making it sound quite bad, but in reality, there's only one.
We'll
of
make
those
it
that
quick.
I'm really stressing. So
we'll make this quick. You can get back to that.
Yeah.
I hope that goes well. Good luck.
Or not, because I want to procrastinate. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. It's
Same.
kind of cold in this room, but, you know, that's it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Cold, yeah. It do be cold, so. Anyways. Well, we have a lot on the docket to talk about on this episode. So
we do have plenty to talk about, if you want to put it that way.
Yes.
The first being the Game Awards.
Yes.
The ones that just aired this Thursday, or this previous Thursday. Grant and I watched
December
this at
9th.
the same time over a call, and it was an
did.
emotional roller coaster of highs, some lows, and of course
some inside jokes.
The ultimate high.
Yeah. Among Us VR, clearly.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. No movie trailers or commercials in the 3-hour
so much padding
show. So, yeah. It's kind of funny because I know that with the Game of the Year winner, his acceptance speech was like, haha, Oscars bad, but it's rather ironic because the Game Awards did turn into the Oscars a bit there. So
that's a fair assumption.
A little bit of the pot calling the kettle black there. Good job.
You did it.
So, you done did it.
Well, I have my own highlights. Were there any big categories that you wanted to talk about? This only really happens once a year.
That's true. I'd say for most highlights, I think we're going to both save Game of the Year last for this segment, so we'll save there. I think in highlights, most of the ones that I want to cover are going to be relating to Game of the Year, but I think the one that's really kind of shook me was Best Narrative, that going to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have yet to play that game, but that's on my list. I think I should be getting around to it soon, but I was hoping for Psychonauts 2, because that was a game I was really looking forward to playing too. I've only played a couple of games that were nominated, but I've been making it my goal to play a lot of these coming up, so I was looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I thought it was going to go award-free, but seeing it win Best Narrative when I thought it was absolutely not going to do so really took me by surprise, so that really elevates my expectations.
Yeah, I would say they're going to be higher now that it's won Best Narrative. If the story isn't there...
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it'll be interesting, because it's like, I bet the game will take a narrative direction based on the comics rather than like James Gunn's movies, so I feel like what we're going to get will be interesting, seeing that Guardians of the Galaxy, from what I've heard, is a cross-up between that Spider-Man game and Mass Effect, so... Yeah. Other than that, I don't really have anything too big to say. I'm glad Guilty Gear won Best Fighting Game. I think that was well-deserved.
Metroid Dread got a good win in there, too. I liked that.
Oh, yeah. That was good, because, with Best Action Adventure, basically every Game of the Year nominee, bar a few, was put in there. So to see Dread come out on top puts a big smile on my face, because I would say I've only played 2 of the 6 Game of the Year nominees so far, but I would say out of the 4 that I'm looking forward to, Dread might be the one I'm looking forward to the most in terms of gameplay, I think.
Yeah.
Mainly because I recently played Super Metroid for the first time. I personally really enjoyed it. I loved a lot of the level design, the exploration, so I was wondering what would that look like more in a modern generation? How would they kind of update that formula?
Not the Super
Figure
Nintendo.
out what would they, yeah. So.
Cool.
put 3D graphics and
Yeah,
Pond
I was
rewards
you
in the
plagued
game.
my mind with the Game Awards. I couldn't get the idea of Deathloop out of my head, and in that regard, it still paid off, but not as much as I think either of us thought it would.
Yeah, not as much as we were anticipating. Because, I mean, unlike last year, because last year it was just a clean sweep for The Last of Us 2, which I saw coming a mile
Pretty much.
away. And I'm kind of shocked not as many people saw that as well, really. So, but what I was thinking was, considering how well received it was, I thought Deathloop was really going to kind of sweep the categories
in the same vein
this year. Yeah, but like this year was very it was really varied. Like some stuff I thought Deathloop was going to take away. It went to like audio design. I was like, oh, it's going to be an easy one for Deathloop. That went to Forza. Yep. There's a bunch of others on there as well, and it's weird because like the ones that they did win, like I'm kind of shocked people are really getting like up in arms about. Like I saw it won Best Art Direction, which I think is a little kind of crazy because I feel like that should have gone to Psychonauts 2 from what I've seen. But like, it's really frustrating because people are like, oh, Deathloop is literally just a bunch of warehouses. But like, there's actually a good kind of retro design to it. Like people are really trying to downplay the art direction from that game. But from what I've seen, it's not something to scoff at, really. But that's just my opinion.
It sure is your opinion, Grant.
It do be. That's what I said. So
now, as for the winner of the esteemed Game of the Year award, It Takes Two.
Yeah. That, do we give our opinions?
I don't have any opinions, but I will come, December something, 18th?
Yeah, 18th. We have planned an official playthrough throughout the entire day, and we're going to actually go through it. Might come back to it and talk about it.
Yeah, we will.
Because, yeah, again, like, the only Game of the Year nominees I played were Rift Apart and Resident Evil Village. I think Rift Apart from this list is the weakest of all of them, because I think it's a good game that should have been a fantastic game, but its slightly repetitive gameplay and lackluster story kind of made it fall flat. And it should have been more, especially considering Insomniac has a really good output of games. I liked Village. I definitely want to replay it. I feel like the story might have been a bit wonky at parts, but I found the overall gameplay had a roller coaster of highs and lows. So I liked the good parts more than the bad parts, but yeah. I still haven't played Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, or Psychonauts 2, but I hope to change that very soon.
Yeah,
so.
I am honored to help you out with one of those.
Yeah, go ahead. With my hope with It Takes Two is that I'm very shocked at one because I have really never heard anyone really talk about it before the Game Awards. So I just hope this isn't like like the Game Awards being like, oh, well, it's like there's some outside politics outside of the game itself. Like I hope this is an actually well-deserved win and not just like, because apparently there's this whole controversy I've heard where it's like, It Takes Two got into a legal dispute with Take-Two Games because of the name. Kind of dumb,
really?
But, so, yeah, so, like, I forget the exact details. You could obviously, like, post an article, but it's like this whole thing where it's like Take-Two, which is currently the number one public enemy for gamers, they were getting mad at It Takes Two because of a copyright with its naming, so they got into a legal dispute. I'm not quite sure how the outcome of that came on the top of my head, but people are like really like supporting It Takes Two out of spite, I feel like, from what I've seen.
Okay.
Like, I don't really see a lot of people really banging on about the game in terms of it being a game itself. Because I feel like if they were, they would also really be talking about the game before It Takes Two, A Way Out, which is pretty much the exact same structure of It Takes Two with the mandatory co-op, but it is a crime drama, not an abstract storybook style game. But I'm just like hoping that this isn't like them saying, hey, we want to make it up to you. Like, I really hope that the game's merits that they made are what gave it Game of the Year, and not the fact that it's all of this like outside of the game nonsense.
That would be
it's
a
just
little
frustrating
bit
because people are
underwhelming
like,
if that happened. I hadn't thought about that.
Honestly. Yeah. But, I mean, we'll see on the 18th.
We sure will.
It's really yeah. It's frustrating because everyone's like, oh, 2021 was a dead year of gaming. But it's like, we had games
Metroid
that came
Dread.
out. I know. It's just people are upset because, like, the game that they're looking forward to is coming out next year. and they just want to find something to complain about. So they're just talking about, oh, my game isn't out yet, so I'm just going to talk about it this year being bad. So
It's a shame.
personally speaking, I just find that to be contributing nothing to the conversation. And honestly,
Contributing.
very disappointing.
Some
So.
people. I'm still.
Most people
I was
actually.
thrown for a loop when
So.
It Takes Two, and I've said this before to you, but just when It Takes Two won Best Family Game, for
Yeah.
some reason.
Yeah, that's a whole thing in and of itself. I mean,
I haven't played it yet.
Well, here's my thing. Yeah, me too. So I don't want to have my definitive opinion. So I don't want to say it's good, it's bad. I want to play it first, obviously. Why would I form a passionate opinion on something I've literally never even interacted with? People, wake up. But personally speaking, I think it's. I guess when you talk about nomination, it can get weird because it's a T game, so
Yeah.
that does throw it for a loop. But putting that aside, when you actually put it against the nominees, I feel like logic dictates that it should have won by a landslide for two key reasons. One being the fact that all of the other nominees were literally just only nominated for that category and literally nothing else, while It Takes Two was a Game of the Year nominee, which is the other point. So, because it really would have looked bad, because it kind of goes back to what happened to Deathloop, because Deathloop got nominated for Best Action Game, but it lost to Returnal. So I thought, if it can't win Game of the Year if it isn't even the best action game, going up against like a bunch of ho-hum nobodies.
I can
But-
see that.
Yeah. What really throws me for a loop, and I think one reason that It Takes Two really took me by surprise, is the fact that it didn't win anything but Best Family and Best Multiplayer, which felt like two,
Well, and you know,
like, on the totem pole of importance. Like, those two felt very, like, bottom tier.
it also won
'Cause,
Game of
like,
the Year.
Yeah, it also won Game of the Year, but it's like, it didn't win Best Narrative or Game Direction, which they both got nominated for, but it lost to Guardians of the Galaxy and Deathloop. So I'm like, why does Deathloop lose action game but win game direction, but then It Takes Two loses game direction but wins Game of the Year?
I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't
it's-
pretend to
so-
understand the logic behind the Game Awards sometimes.
Well,
It's all over the
Game
place.
Awards, to me, this is my opinion on the Game Awards itself. Put a warning, opinion warning. Person's about to say something that will not be good to someone else. But really, with the Game Awards, all I see it is what game did the game journalists like best. And I mean, going back from 2017 to now, for example, I feel like whoever won Game of the Year got the best reception in terms of game journalists.
Yeah.
I mean, 2017, Breath of the Wild, that seems pretty
The
self-explanatory.
IGN game, basically.
2018, God of War was pretty big. Sekiro in 2019 really threw people for a loop and kind of also made people realize, oh yeah, From Software made Dark Souls. 2020 was literally just The Last of Us 2 because it was just the sequel to The Last of Us 1, which is apparently the best game ever made. I disagree. And then It Takes Two, I think that one threw me for a loop because I thought it was going to be Deathloop with all the positive, like, perfect scores it got. But I guess in terms of It Takes Two, this is, like, the great year for the indie darling to shine through. But because, like, if anything, I feel like if it really went down to Game of the Year, my expectations said it should have gone to Psychonauts 2 or maybe even Metroid Dread. But that just makes me a Nintendo fanboy because I said that. But, oh well. So,
Yeah, you know how it goes.
it'd be like that every year.
Do. Well, we can.
But at least it was a
Chitter
good
and-
time, because, I mean, yeah, the best thing about the Game Awards is you can talk with your friends and make fun of people on Twitter.
Of course. Make sure you turn off the chat, though.
So, yeah. Yeah, you gotta turn off chat. Yeah. At least you can get some decent game announcements. Like, I'm kind of looking forward to the Persona 4 Arena port coming in March. So, that sounds fun. Cuphead DLC.
And let's not forget.
finally getting
Let's
some
not forget the
decent-
Sonic 2 trailer.
Yes. Are you hyped for it, Sam? That's the real question.
I will neither confirm nor deny.
Okay, so he's hyped, obviously, if he cannot confirm or deny. So, we'll be seeing that in
No.
theaters when it comes out.
I will not.
No, we will.
I don't know if
we
we
will.
should. I hope it's better than the first
We
one.
will. We'll see.
It looks
So,
like it will. But that does
could
not mean that I am excited for the movie.
Yeah, we're gonna be seeing it in theaters, so yeah, we'll get back to you on that once it comes out.
No.
Wait, when does it come out? Actually, I didn't pay attention to the release date.
I think it's April? So fairly soon.
Sounds about right. Yeah, I would say somewhere around there. So.
Well, yeah, that's the Game Awards.
Because, I mean, yeah, if you had a trailer come out, I feel like the release date would be soon. But, yeah, Game Awards.
There you go.
See you next year. When popular Scrimlow Bimblow platformer beats JRPG mixed sword guy for the 17th time consistently.
You ready to get back into the swing of things?
I guess you can say that.
All right, let's speed run some topics.
Get back to what we actually talk about. Yeah?
Omicron.
Okay, speed run world
Any
record,
percent,
80%.
yeah.
Let's go.
Omicron, right? New
Yes.
variant for COVID.
New guy.
Initial findings kind of deemed it a serious threat since it could kind of withstand and avoid common vaccines that were being used for previous variants. The Pfizer COVID-19 booster shot actually was the only one from studies that actually seemed to hold any sort of protection against the new strain. And so you fast forward to now when, especially in Britain, Omicron is hitting pretty much everything quite hardly, to the point where booster shots are being discussed heavily about whether or not they should be mandatory, just in regards to public places again, so students, adults, things like that. It kind of reminds me of
COVID,
how...
So.
It kind of reminds me of the buzz COVID original variants had back in, March of 2020. It kind of feels like we've come full circle in a way.
In a sense. I can't get past the fact that the name Omicron sounds like the character from Futurama.
That's fair.
I'm just kind of thrown for a loop there. I'm not really super paying attention to everything. Just like, funny meme.
And I think Omicron can also be tied back to damaging the box office yet again, too. West Side Story?
Yeah, that's true. I actually haven't heard. How is Spielberg doing?
Well,
is he
not
making a lot
the
of money?
best. Omicron's being blamed currently for West Side Story's performance. It should have done really well, and it was actually projected to, but it ended up only making $10.5 million on this opening weekend, and a lot of people are saying it's because of this new variant that's scaring people off. Or maybe they just don't like West Side Story, I don't know.
Well, Sam, let's get real. Whenever you have a box office, that's clearly the indicator of how good a movie is. Like, I don't need to look up reviews. I don't need to look up what people are saying. As long as I know that whatever movie I'm watching has made at least $200 million, then it's good. Why do I even want to pay attention?
Would you?
I just want to give it money.
No.
Yeah. That's why I know that the Lion King remake is the best animated movie.
Absolutely.
Of course. And that's why The Suicide Squad was the worstest movie ever made.
But, yeah.
Because it didn't even make a lot of money.
I guess just looking at it,
that's right.
Omicron is kind of bringing COVID back into its former pedestal of control over everything.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer.
I guess we'll just see how it plays out.
Circumstances being what they are, the cycle will kind of repeat.
That's
One
true.
thing that I'm thinking
about
about
we'll get even better vaccines.
Do you think this will kind of become, COVID in general, will kind of become commonplace with the flu? To the point where you just take vaccines every year to protect yourself from COVID?
I guess that is a potential outcome. Obviously, I'm not like a health major or anything, so I don't really know anything about like viral strands or how diseases spread amongst the globe itself. But I think that could be a way we see it, is that we just throw like coronavirus onto like the list of like diseases you can get checked out for. But I just feel like by the end of this, we'll get to a point where we will have the whole thing contained, and then from there we'll be able to just make even better medicine. So, yeah, I just feel like, I know it's tough. I know
we wait.
Not a lot of people are looking forward to this, but we'll persevere. We'll make it to the end.
We'll make it to the end.
It's like Independence Day. So.
And theaters aren't the only things experiencing more change and pitfalls too. You ready for some HBO Max stuff?
Yeah.
All right. Well, You know how Amazon Prime channels were initially linked to HBO Max? That was a feature. But
that sounds familiar.
it has since been stripped away now that we are well into the reign of HBO Max. And that appears to have affected its subscriber count too. So subscriptions collectively grew from the previous quarter, so the second one basically, from 67.5 million to 69.4 million. But now, fast forward to the removal of Amazon Prime channels, and now we have, 45.2 million in this quarter. So that's a difference of roughly 1.8 million subscribers.
That's like a third. Eesh. So, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So basically, while the total subscription numbers, were up 1.9 million for the quarter, and I guess 12.5 million on the year overall, just looking up the numbers, they're still, growing. They're still being successful.
Right.
But this was just a temporary little dip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which might be why
like,
that
with HBO
new deal is only offering 50% off of these new subscriptions. To kind of like try and get people back.
Yeah, because I feel like this is like the point where HBO Max wants to be its own like self-sustaining, independent entity in terms of a streaming service. Because I feel like at first you could easily use like, link your Amazon Prime account as like a great way to help support itself and stabilize and get some legitimacy and start to have people establish trust in the streaming service itself. Because like all of its features, like you can stream the premiere movies from your home whenever you want, and like here's our entire library. Now that people have had plenty of time to kind of like dip their toes into the water and really kind of understand HBO Max as a service and everything, now it feels like the time they're ready to like break free and start to be their own independent service without the Amazon support. So I guess we will see, because maybe they'll grow even larger than they have been, or maybe this will actually hurt them in the long run. But I just feel like this is going to be an interesting point to see how HBO Max will go from here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. That's just something that I kind of wanted to keep track of, just because HBO Max as a business is still trying out stuff with varying degrees of success.
That's true. They have good movies on their streaming service as well that I enjoy watching, so I want to see them do quite all right.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the next one, Disney Plus. You know that one?
I know of that one, but I will not pay for that one because I do not want to support Mickey Mouse.
Okay, Grant. Maybe don't say that around me.
Oh. Well, I mean, you got to support Bambi and Bambi too.
That's
so,
true.
I mean, no, that's fair. No, I can respect that.
But that also means that
it.
I'll have direct access to another one when the time comes. And I don't need that in my life.
No, you do though. We need to remake it for new generation of moviegoers. They need to understand the benefits of modern day cinema as opposed to the tired old ways of the years of old.
I think that's your opinion.
I think using newer technology to make a live action setting and cast of characters that will misunderstand the original intent of these films.
Grant, you're kind of whipping out. I can't really make you out.
No, because this is going to be the newest, highest-grossing animated movie.
I can't hear you.
So, if you can't hear me, why'd you say something?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, that's what
I found you.
Yeah,
but anyway, whatever you just said.
Disney Plus Day.
I'm sorry, I didn't really make it out, but Disney Plus Day, November 12th.
Yeah, you just cut me out of this
is a recent event that happens that I actually completely overlooked. I had no idea there was a Disney Plus Day in existence, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
the Disney Plus Day this year marks the 2-year anniversary of it. Like, we passed it, but it's been here for 2 years, which is weird. And,
the service, or
it's something that will probably grow as time goes on, but the basic idea is that on Disney Plus Day, you see the drop of a lot of new content, be it short, film, TV show, on the site. And I think,
kind of like, again, like E3 for Disney products, in a way.
Again, it's still kind of small right now. I think the only stuff that really showed up on Disney Plus Day this year were a couple of Pixar shorts or behind the scenes stuff, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember. I think Because it's mainly just they like showing off the Pixar stuff, the Star Wars stuff, and the Marvel stuff, because that's what really basically generates all of their revenue.
That's what they have.
So I know there's like 30 different projects in the works.
10 Star Wars shows. Them. I can't believe
there's like that new Boba Fett thing. Is it a TV show? I can't tell. I feel like it's a TV show.
It's probably gonna be a TV show.
Yeah.
They also dropped that new Hawkeye show, which I literally saw nothing for until it showed up, I guess, under new releases, and it was just like, oh, a Hawkeye show.
Yeah. I mean, I saw like a trailer or two for it, but I don't have Disney Plus, so I have not been keeping up with any of these Marvel shows.
You have the higher ground
on the streaming service.
You are in the moral right.
I've only seen the movies, like the really good ones, like Shang-Chi
like
and
Black
Eternals.
Widow.
Yes, truly the pinnacle of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it.
Not the one that's coming out. No. We just the ones that.
No. Not this new one. No. New one.
Why would you even suggest
like people are
that?
literally scalping tickets for tens of thousands of dollars and getting into fist fights over a movie that they can just wait a couple of days to see. So
yeah, that's your proof right there.
Yeah, no. It's not like we're just going to wait 10 days to see it and avoid everyone else so we can not worry about our seating when we see the movie.
Sorry, I was thinking about The Secret of Nim 2, Timmy to the Rescue.
No.
But anyway,
and
that's enough on Disney Plus, I guess. In other news,
Disney Plus. So
Disney also decided to kill off the FX on Hulu name, and I think that happened less than 2 years after it launched. It was basically some sort of brand management that many people didn't even notice, but I'm still bringing it up because it's interesting. So the FX mark will move all of its titles across Disney streaming services worldwide. So it was introduced in early 2020 and has since changed homes, essentially.
Gotcha.
I guess the idea is Disney wants to make like the branding consistent and worldwide across all of its outlets.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like, I really haven't heard about this either, but I guess now that you explain it, it makes sense. Because, I mean, my understanding was, like, I know FX was on Hulu and Hulu is Disney, and in a way that kind of made sense because I guess, like, Hulu's going to be your Netflix equivalent, so, and, like, it makes sense to have all of that FX content there on your streaming service because it felt like Disney Plus was all of the Disney first-party stuff that they have. So
yeah, but I guess now Hulu doesn't have it.
I could check right now. Actually, I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so either.
Very weird. Yeah, it would seem very weird to have them just. I still see FX content on Hulu. So I guess they must just be spreading it out more, so more people can access it. Yeah, I guess not. So
yeah, well, that's something that happened too.
That happened in society.
Yeah, well, moving on.
In the world.
Cowboy Bebop, Netflix, that came out.
And then it didn't come out, so.
It sure did.
Congratulations.
You did it.
You did it. They saw you later, Space Cowboy. Nice
Is that
job.
a line?
And they're going to carry that weight.
Well,
That's a
I don't know if carry the weight is really the right...
No, because it's a reference, because like at the end of every episode, you just get like a title card, and in the bottom left it says, "See you later, Space Cowboy." But then in the last episode, it says, "You're going to carry that weight."
Well, "see you later" is the appropriate term for this piece of news, because this new live-action thing that came out on Netflix, Cowboy Bebop, it's been canned almost immediately, so we will not be getting a season 2. I guess you shouldn't make live-action remakes of beloved property that miss the entire point.
It's true, but... Yeah, I'm not concerned because my favorite pieces of media have not been received the live-action treatment. So, personally, I'm not concerned about this matter.
You're safe for now.
So to speak. Yeah, forever. It's never going to happen, Sam. When's my favorite media going to get that live-action treatment?
Bold words. What do you think's going to happen after the final season? You think they're going to stop?
What are you gonna?
It's on
You
Netflix.
gonna write a letter to Netflix?
What did Netflix do with Cowboy Bebop?
What are they gonna do with it?
Interesting theory.
Oh, I don't know, but I mean.
But yeah, you have.
I kind of felt like this was gonna happen, honestly, because, I mean, it just goes back to the age-old classic Netflix anime adaptation meme yet again. So
You're literally. I hadn't thought about that. You're right. First you had
exactly,
Death Note, and now this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when I saw the Death Note, I'm like, oh yeah, so the meme is totally justified, and now this happened, and look at the result. It's rather predictable.
I mean, at least it wasn't a movie this time.
That's true.
But yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
you
well,
have
because I know
firm connection, more firm of a connection than I do to Cowboy Bebop. I'm not sure what it's about, but I guess neither of us saw it, and we don't have the numbers up for its performance. But I guess people must have really hated it.
I mean, my understanding, because I guess I'm the more knowledgeable of the two, is that I've seen the original Cowboy Bebop. I personally really enjoy it. I think it's a great show. It's like 26 episodes. I think a great way to compare it, it's like The Mandalorian, someone said, but I haven't seen The Mandalorian, so I'm not sure how legitimate that comparison is. Basically, you just follow like a bounty hunter and his like group of like comrades, and like it's just him kind of just doing jobs on the side. So there's not really like a main narrative structure. Obviously, they have like goals as characters, but like it's not like, okay, this episode we're focused on doing this. Like, you could genuinely like start at any episode and you could pretty much understand everything. Like, because the show is so well written to the point where you can start and stop anywhere and you can like have a great understanding of these characters and like the universe. But I also know that they made a movie. Haven't seen that. I guess that's just an expansion of the show.
Most likely.
I've heard relatively decent stuff about it. I don't think it's quite on the same level as the show from what I've heard, but it's still good.
All right.
But now we have the live-action remake, which I feel like is just Netflix's attempt to try to capture over the fans because they got the license to like also distribute it. Because I remember when the live-action show came out, they also were promoting the fact that they had the original as well. So I feel like that might have been part of a deal. But, I mean, from what I've seen, everyone's been thoroughly just, like, kind of trashing the show. Someone made a joke that's like, oh, it acts like an episode of Seinfeld, and it literally had, like, the Seinfeld intro and then laugh tracks accompanying it. So.
Okay.
But I haven't seen the live-action show, but, like, from the clips I've seen, it just makes me ask, why would I want to watch this?
It doesn't look good, yeah.
The original is a perfectly viable
I've heard
option.
one iconic line from the show that made my jaw drop, but that's it. And if it's as bad as people say it is, I'm glad Netflix came to their senses and, got rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's kind of the thing with all this Netflix original content is that they kind of want to streamline and figure out, okay, what's doing good, what's not doing good, and then figure out where to go from there.
But yeah, we've had shows, we've had movies, and we're about to have more movies.
We've had video games, we've had...
Buckle up.
We had some goofs. We laughed. Well, we didn't cry because there wasn't really anything particularly emotional that we saw. But
right. We cried out of pain at one point.
You cried out of pain. I was typing away furiously in the Netflix party out of one of our
and that was kind of funny.
Films.
I did my best to kind
of. We aren't. This is the a weekly foreshadowing.
Right. So this episode of Private Screening is made to keep track of kind of the late fall releases. We might do some holiday stuff as time goes on, but right now we're saving episode 7 for the big boy, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, we're gonna...
But as kind of a precursor to that, we're just doing one last little check.
Right, we're kind of doing some...
roundabout
like some kind of like
that we saw.
Late October cleanup. Because that's kind of where we ended with the last episode, because like our last movie was Dune. And I mean, as I understand it, like all of these movies came out around that same weekend. So, yeah, this is kind of our not the end of the year, but like this is kind of the end of fall cleanup episode.
Right.
So,
penultimate
for 2021.
So, to start off, Wes Anderson, right? You might know him. You might not know him. He's a director.
Wes? I thought you said East.
And he is
West.
Were you trying to speak French?
No, it's the SpongeBob quote. Oh, east? I thought you said west.
Ah.
West. What kind of compass are you reading? This one, sir.
I was
says
thinking
west, Patrick.
I was thinking French because Wes Anderson made the first movie on the chopping block, The French Dispatch.
Yes.
So
good
Wes
tie-in,
Anderson
good segue. Good writing.
Announced this movie originally in 2018, and it's interesting because in the beginning this was supposed to be a musical themed around
Really?
France following the events of World War II. So after Nazi-occupied France, this was supposed to be a musical about the state after it.
Interesting.
And so then you fast forward to later December when development continued, and it was announced that the journalist angle would be implemented instead as like kind of a celebration of the practice. And that's also when film production began. And so, it was delayed in 2020 because everything was delayed in 2020. And then it came out in November, like you said. Or no.
Right, and
October,
we saw it together in theaters.
Was it November? No, it was October. Excuse me.
Yeah, it was like October 22nd or 29th.
That sounds more right than November.
Yeah. I think it was late October.
But yeah, we saw it.
So.
And
yeah, we did.
I really, really liked it initially, but that was also after we saw the movie that we'll be talking about next. And so I was really desperate to see anything good / not that movie, to the point where I was just like, oh, this is the best thing ever. But despite that, it's still a good
it had
movie.
Owen Wilson in it, and knowing your personal preferences and biases as a person, that really played well into...
That's what put this movie above.
Your next film after The Cursed One.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Precisely.
But, I mean...
So, yeah, when Owen Wilson showed up,
really
I was there.
Honestly, French Dispatch, great film.
There's a lot to talk about.
Really good.
But it's also something that, it's weird. There are so many different things to touch on, but in the end, I feel like they all kind of come into the same ideas that you can really talk about briefly, if that makes sense.
That's true. Yeah. There's a lot of angles, but they're very well unified together within its runtime.
Right. My favorite thing about this movie is probably just the completely left field, nothing related to them even kind of points of history that were explored in every little vignette. Because none of them feel too long, but they're all really, really different from each other. Just like with subject matter, characters, and point of view.
Yeah.
I think my favorite example of this is just like stylistically, it's a Wes Anderson movie. One fun thing that he does here is he expresses the passage either, retrospectively or currently through colors. So if you have any flashbacks in this movie, I think it's black and white.
Right, because... as he actually does well, he doesn't he visually expresses it, but it's not told to you. You have to pick it up.
Yeah, you have to catch on.
It's a really great feature. There's a scene where he's like, it's divided into 5 parts. There's the intro explaining
the outro,
the French Dispatch magazine, and then there's the tour of the city with Owen Wilson.
Yep.
The best part.
That is the best part.
And then you have the 3 stories, and then you have the end. But then you go back to the Owen Wilson part. There's a scene where it's
let's go back to the Owen Wilson
here
part.
A different part. Yeah, there's a part in Owen Wilson's section where it's here are these different parts of the city. But then on the left you have a picture of the past in black and white, and on the right you have a picture in color. So while that not only makes for a good joke within that specific moment, that also is what drives a lot of the artistic aesthetic of the movie. As you'll notice, there are many moments where you will have shots in black and white, which help indicate the past, versus other shots in color, which help indicate the future.
I think the last story is entirely black and white.
The last one?
The very last one with Edward Norton?
That's the one with the police commissioner, right?
Because that one was entirely a flashback. So it was all black and white.
For the most part, I know that the framing device within that story was the food critic was being interviewed on a talk show, and that was in color. But everything else was told in black and white. And it's also interesting because the way they play with that is when he does the animated segments within that section, that's also presented in color, which I feel like can be in line with how they're presenting that in the present.
Yeah, because literally,
so
in literal magazines at the time, you would have kind of little not graphic novel, but little comic strips that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Which plays back into a lot of the central ideas of the whole magazine French Dispatch. So
Right, and that's another thing too. The magazine style is kind of a front for multiple sort of character studies, I kind of want to say, because every different story in this anthology film is completely different in the tone. And I think that's really noteworthy.
Right.
Because I think that serves to kind of basically reflects the personality of the people telling the story. So going back to Owen Wilson, my guy, his whole thing is just like real scenic. Look at the corners of every city. Here's the way like the clouds move when the wind blows on them just right. Here are some people that are digging out corpses from the river and stuff like that. It's really reflective and peaceful and just celebratory of the small things in life. And then fast forward to the last one where it's just a high-stakes rescue mission of someone's son interlaced with really funny, just like, as I bit into this piece of food, it tasted delicious. Because he's a food critic. Like, it's just that entire angle. Frances McDormand's little story is framed very seriously. It's told very seriously. All the people that she's talking about talk like she does.
Kind of presentation at like a university. So
it's just little stuff like that really serves to make everything feel varied and fresh while also making it connected. Like, I could totally buy this being in the same film.
Right, because I think you can also see that technically speaking, but there's a lot of great stuff that plays into that magazine feel. So, like, for example, this movie uses, like, a 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yep.
But in a way that feels way more, like, earned, artistically speaking, because that helps to
way more earned than what, Grant?
The Lighthouse.
That was not what I thought you would say.
What do you think I'm going to say?
Oh, just a little thing called...
Bambi?
Grant, you're hurting me. You're really hurting me.
I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it no more.
I'll say it for you. The Snyder Cut. Aspect ratio there versus aspect ratio here. Oh, yeah.
The blueprint. Because literally everything.
Oh, you're right. The Snyder Cut is the blueprint for French Dispatch, isn't it?
Literally made everything ever. Like, everything you know is literally because of this movie. Even Purple, which wasn't even in the movie.
That's too far.
No, it's the blueprint, Sam. It's the blueprint. No.
Nope.
No.
Stop. Purple is authentic.
No, it was in the movie. Even though it wasn't in the movie, it was in the movie.
No. It was invented before the blueprint. See, that's why it's called blue.
Anyways, we're getting off topic. We're going.
No, I think this is a completely viable point of discussion.
No.
All right.
Well, anyways, it happened in the movie, so...
aspect ratio here, it works.
Anyways, going back to it, the aspect ratio, I think it serves well because it goes back to that, like, magazine aesthetic. So it's like when you're visually watching it, it feels like you're seeing a magazine actually come to life. And then there's, like, other stuff that goes into it as well. Like, again, the thing that really helps distinguish your three stories is that they all have their own presentation styles. Like, again, the third story with the police commissioner and the food critic, it has that animated segment, so that helps to distinguish it there. And then you have, with the second story, like you have the chess game, and you have a lot of certain imagery thrown in there. But it's nice that, although every story on the surface seems very different from one another, they all come together to make a connected
feels cohesive,
in the end. Yeah, because, I mean, that's one of the good things about Wes Anderson is that he has a very distinct style. I really personally enjoy his shot composition. I enjoy his visual symmetry. You'll notice that a lot.
Very satisfying
with stuff like when I watched Fantastic Mr. Fox over Thanksgiving break. There's a lot of stuff I still picked up on. I'm very ecstatic to rewatch that again. I will. You cannot stop me.
I'm not gonna try to.
Yeah, you better not.
No, never.
I'm gonna show you the live action Bambi.
No, I said I wasn't. I said I wasn't going to try and stop you, Grant.
We'll see Sing 2 in theaters, Sam, and you'll be happy.
You're
there.
just really throwing me all across
the room.
We'll
see Mario in theaters as well.
No.
We'll see Chris Pratt.
What are you talking about?
Chris Pratt
I will not.
He's so cool.
I will never.
You'll see in the future, Sam.
That's your opinion.
That won't save you now. But yeah. Anyways, French Dispatch, good film. Really enjoyed it.
What was your favorite?
I think it was my favorite. I think it was my favorite, narratively speaking.
But it's in
I
competition.
know there's a
with Dune,
lot of
right?
movie. Huh?
It's in competition with Dune in your book.
I mean, there's a lot of like actually good 2021 movies I have not seen, so I guess from what I've seen so far, I would say it might just barely edge out Dune for me. I mean, Wes Anderson is a big favorite director of mine, so I feel like there's a little bit of a bias there, but I could also say that
That's
for
fair.
Denis Villeneuve. So, but like, there's still plenty that I haven't seen. Like Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza is coming out, and I haven't seen that, but I want to. There's still others, like there was like an indie film called like Titany or something like that. I know I'm saying it wrong,
I think I've
but
heard of that.
yeah, I've heard really positive things there, so I put that on my list to see. I know there's others out there that I've yet to seen, but from what I have seen so far, I will say that French Dispatch currently sits as my favorite movie of 2021 so far.
Yeah, your favorite directors have really been giving you a treat. And this year,
Oh, yeah.
James Gunn
I mean,
had
I
The
like-
Suicide Squad,
I like
French
good
Dispatch,
movies.
and Dune.
Yeah, I like good movies, so I get good movies.
So you get good
obviously.
movies? Then why do you want to see
know.
Sing 2?
Because it's a good movie, Sam.
No.
Obviously.
You
It literally speaks for itself.
don't know that.
How do you know that?
No, what?
Sing 2 is not a good movie. Explain.
Explain to me why it's good.
Because it has celebrities and popular music. That's
You know what?
literally all you need for a good movie.
I can't argue with that.
You can't.
No.
It's not an
I really
opinion this
can't.
time.
Yeah, no, that's
So.
not your opinion. I said it.
It's not.
I'll say
It's
it.
just-
That's not your
Yeah,
opinion.
there you go. Sing 2 Best
it
Animated
up.
Film of the Year.
Oh yeah, Sing 2 is releasing in
So.
2021. It could take the medal.
It's
Luca
I
and
love it.
Mitchell's versus the
I
Machines don't
I
stand a
would love
chance.
nothing more than to go to the Oscars and just see Sing 2 in the Best Animated Film category.
I can think of things that I would prefer to see over that.
Yeah, obviously like Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Yeah, that's a big
for
one.
real. So, yeah.
But yeah, French
yeah,
Dispatch,
I
really,
mean-
really good.
Yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, solid
Very
8.
good. Wes Anderson, you're a great director. You're doing
Keep it
great.
up.
I
His
hope you have
next
a
thing
great
is going to
day
be like
today.
a
You
sci-fi,
literally...
from what I've heard.
Oh, really?
Which is, I would
So-
love to see him make a sci-fi movie, so go for it.
That's true. I like to see directors really explore
Different genres, like
a
Edgar
wide
Wright,
variety
right?
of genre. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're getting there, so...
Oh, we'll get there.
Ooh.
Oh, spoilers, dang
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, no, the title will be in the thumbnail. They'll see
We'll
it.
see it. Well, what if they don't?
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, we haven't made the thumbnail yet.
True.
We won't make that until, like,
I could...
June of
I
2022.
mean, even if I
so-
did hide it, they'd still hear it here, so we might have ruined it.
Why even bother talking about it at this rate? Let's just...
Speaking of why
Keep
even
moving on.
bother,
Yes, the most brilliant segue. So it's also a perfect segue because we go from like one of the best films of 2021 to one of the worst films of 2021.
the worst.
Well, I mean, to you, for me, it's the second worst.
What was the worst?
Well, I mean, it's the movie that inspired this movie.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that was
Yeah,
2021.
my literal least favorite movie of all time.
And they
as of
made
right now.
a prequel?
They did on a character that apparently died in the original. So unless you're either gonna bring him back for some reason or not, like why even bother making this prequel unless you're gonna bring him back? But if you do bring him back, that just robs him of his sacrifice in the original. So that just means that extra padding meant nothing.
Spoiler, it's Army of Thieves, if you couldn't guess by now. Another Netflix exclusive slog. Unfortunately, this series was not canceled after the first installation like Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. I wish we got this treatment.
I feel like I'm going to be really boring with this part because I literally have nothing to say on this movie.
Well, it's because the problem was honestly is that neither of us really watched the movie.
I tried.
We both watched it over Netflix.
I literally
party,
have
but we
nothing
spent
to
the
say.
entire time just cracking inside jokes while it played on as literal
I
background.
broke
filler.
down. I had to switch on Freebirds in a separate tab just to get through it.
Yeah, you didn't even watch the movie.
No, I was
actually
watching
watched
the movie. I just had like I could hear Freebirds going on in a different tab.
So you were paying attention to another movie, and not the
while
movie
watching
that
this.
we're talking about.
Okay, but I still did it. I still got through it. But yeah, I have nothing to say.
With AIDS, you had a support with you. So unlike me, who sat through it and listened to all of the wonderful filmmaking by
whatever his name is.
No, I want to get his name. I want to credit this man for the beautiful film.
I've got nothing. It's bad. It's a bad bland.
We're not just gonna skip over this. We're gonna stew on this.
Do we
for a
have
little bit. Okay. I'm gonna be saying this wrong. Matthias Schweifer. It looks like. I could be saying that wrong, but this man. How is this man making this movie? But I mean, yeah. I can take the brunt of the conversation because. Clearly, you don't want to talk about it.
I just literally can't think of anything to talk about. It's just nothing.
You gave it a 0 out of 5, which does not really happen.
It's nothingness. I don't even
I mean, you're not. I'm not going to dispute you there.
It doesn't. It doesn't even. That doesn't even mean that I hate it the most out of everything that I've seen. It's just. It's nothing. It has nothing.
Your lowest rated movie of 2021.
Of value.
So I guess you do hate it.
To offer. I mean, I do hate it, but like in the empty sort of way. There's no momentum,
yeah, it's the
no
empty
characters.
Hollow, you get nothing out of this experience.
There are no zombies. It's just nothing.
No, that's not true. They very briefly show him for like 7 seconds.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, but I guess quick detail.
He has
dump.
to break into 3 safes.
Army of Thieves is a prequel to Army of the Dead, which was a Zack Snyder film about zombies that ripped off aliens so blatantly that it actually hurts. Apparently the movie is supposed to be the story of the Safecracker character. His name in this film is actually Sebastian, but then you learn that the name he has in Army of Thieves, which was Dieter. Apparently he got that, spoilers, he got that name because of an OC he made. So congratulations there, Zach. He has some really good writing there. But yeah, so the movie is literally just Ocean's 11. Because you have to crack 3 safes that cannot be cracked, but the main character advises a ragtag team, and they overcome the odds to succeed. Except they don't, because there was an agency that had 8 minutes of screen time, and we can't really have an actual happy ending because we have to set up for Army of the Dead, and then there's going to be a sequel there, and then there's also an anime series that they're making of this as well, and it looks like Netflix has their sights set for the future. But, yeah, as you said, this is pretty much perpetual nothingness in the grand scheme of things.
In one ear, out the other.
Genuinely speaking. I mean, that's the weird thing, because I think there's 2 big signs that just really hammer home that idea. The first being that Zach wrote this movie, but he did not actually direct this movie. So apparently, if he's so passionate about what he likes, it turns out he wasn't even bothered to direct this film. So, because I guess he's too busy making his new project, which is going to be a Star Wars movie.
And you're going to watch it for some reason.
I mean, I got my new official Snyder ranked list. You so I got to slap that at number 9, which will most likely be at. So
you must not.
I mean, I got to keep it up for the list's sake. It's not my personal enjoyment's sake.
The Suncophis fallacy.
Yeah.
That's what's happening right here.
What is it? It's like M. Night Shyamalan, but he didn't make Sixth Sense or Unbreakable, and he just started at The Village. So
he skipped a couple steps.
Yeah.
Are we done?
I mean, well, hang on. Is there anything else? Ugh.
I don't think it had anything of value. I didn't think it brought any new or interesting ideas to the table.
Yeah, you gave it a literal 0 out of 5.
None of the emotional beats hit, much less were they developed. The action was not there.
Nonsensical.
There were no zombies. Like I thought it was a bland and boring movie that didn't need to exist and that no one should waste their time on. A lot of people seem to like this, and I still don't know why, because everyone who's talking about
Here's the thing. Like, the thing that I've seen is that, like, no, like, big-name movie reviewer, like, Your Movie Sucks, I Hate Everything, Ralph the Movie Maker, like, kind of the people we like to view towards, and hopefully we could get there one day, but that's probably, I'm not sure that's going to happen. But when you look at, like, all the big-name, like, movie reviewers, like, no one has wasted their time with Army of Thieves like us. Like, the only people are just, like, the super dedicated, like, small niche reviewers that just need a little extra something to cover. Like, the only reason I think people even watched Army of the Dead was because Zach plastered his name all over everything. But seeing as this one was, it's supposed to be, like, Matthias Schweifer, like, no one's like, okay, who cares? And so the only people that were, like, adamantly covering this was Zack Snyder's cult fan base. So that's fun. It's hilarious because they were promoting this thing as hard as they physically could, and then just like Army of the Dead, they have dropped it within less than a week, much like Netflix did with its top 10 list. So, genuinely one of the worst films to come out of this year. One of the worst films I've ever seen. Not the worst film, but a prequel to the worst film I've ever seen. Half star, not good. Please don't. Make it stop, but it won't, because we need money.
If you like Army of Thieves and you're watching this, tell us why. But, like, actually explain it. You can't just say, this thing was good, or this was cinema. You have to actually put a why after that. And
yeah,
really,
I know.
It's really think about it when you do.
Yeah, I know. It's like, the movie should speak for itself, but these stories are so jumbled that they don't. And so you can't speak for this movie because you don't give us actual reasoning. Literally the only argument I have seen was like, oh, this shot is it says so much. And it's like, it's literally just the main character, like, eating a bagel outside, and there's, like, nothing to glean off of.
Yeah, that seems like it would be
just
a
him eating a
parody
bagel.
of someone who would actually speak like that, but it's real.
No. They have the whole thing. They got the Twitter tag, the Restore the Snyderverse, release the air hashtags in their name. They got the dark side looking at the camera banner. They just got everything. They've got, quite literally, the worst possible account to enjoy movies. So, congratulations, you have contributed nothing and have wasted our times in life. Thank you.
The end, right?
Yes. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a scary experience for you, wasn't it, Sam?
Just draining.
Yeah. No, that's supposed to be the segue for our last movie, because scary, horror.
Funny you should mention that, Grant. You want to talk scary, we can talk the last movie that we have to talk about today.
Yeah, The Last Night in Soho.
The Last Night in Soho. Oh, yeah. So, Edgar Wright is your favorite director, and I do not have as much experience with him as I would like, because I definitely think he knows what he's doing.
You do.
On July 4th, I saw Baby Driver for the first time, and I was definitely sold on Edgar Wright if it wasn't before at that point. And so, when I saw Soho, my expectations were obviously, Baby Driver tier.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
in retrospect, Soho kind of feels like a spiritual successor to Baby Driver, in the same way that Hot Fuzz is a spiritual successor to Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
To me.
So you're kind of saying there's like a connection between the two.
It's not in a lot of ways, but just like the played straight presentation of this genre, unlike the Cornetto trilogy's comedy, I thought kind of links them together. Both plots heavily rely on escalation and like the terror that comes out of that as things slowly become out of hand.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm the resident Edgar Wright expert of the duo, so...
This is true.
Yeah. I will say, like... I will say, to preface, I do think this is his weakest movie, but it is still a good movie.
Yeah,
I
think it's
a shame because everyone says otherwise. Like, I think it's just probably, like, I'm just really kind of upset and frustrated because everyone's like, oh, this was a bad movie, 5 out of 10, bad, no, boo-boo, bad, terrible. I'm like, I don't get why this one in particular is like so egregiously low to these people. I think maybe one reason could be, I mean, Edgar Wright's track record up to this point was incredibly
home runs.
Yeah, like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End, Scott Pilgrim, and Baby Driver were all like knocks out of the park, and like for what I've seen, like I just don't think this movie hits that exact same caliber, but it's not like bad by these people's standards. Like they're making it sound like it's like a complete utter disappointment, but there's actually good stuff to get out of this. Like there's good production design, and there's good performances, and I like the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And it's well constructed, and it's like an actual movie that you can watch and sit down and enjoy and actually get the details.
Imagine.
It's not. Yeah, I know. It's like it has an actual premise and it builds upon itself. And
do you want
to
lead us into the meat and potatoes of this movie by talking about the premise? Because I think it's definitely one of the stronger things.
Yeah. So the story. There is a up and coming college student. Her name is like Elise or something like that.
Ellie, right?
Yeah, like Ellie. That's what they keep saying.
Who is very adorable and sweet.
Yes, very wholesome.
Which makes watching her stumble around in London all the more painful.
It's like seeing the innocent slowly become more depraved as the horrors of the industry she once thought were so illustrious and perfect makes it hit harder, and as a matter of fact. So Ellie is like an up-and-coming college student. She is a fashion designer, or at least aspiring to be one. And so she lives in like the country, but then she moves to the big city of London itself, to where she rents out an apartment at this one place until she figures out she has this ability that when she goes to sleep, she basically teleports back to 1960s London, which is like her big, like, it's like her favorite genre of like art and aesthetics and like fashion design. And so she goes back in time thanks to the flashing lights, where she gets to be played by Princess Peach's voice actor, Anna Taylor-Joy. And then basically you see like her have her career in like the fashion industry and like all that. But it is through this experience that you see the horror of everything, and it slowly decays into the true murder mystery, and everything is bad. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
So and there was spooks, there was jump scares, and
there's some more spooks.
Yeah. There was to begin the spoilers, or
we'll get there. I'm gonna try and push this
Baby
Driver
reserve
Soho conspiracy that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they kind of seem related, just like how they were made, both characters use music to express themselves. That might be a push, but the tone is different from Baby Driver. Like that's the only one that I have to go off of right now. The colors and locations are extremely different. They're used differently.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of characters, I don't really have a problem with Ellie, but I don't think she's as solid as Baby.
Yeah, I will say I think Ellie is the weakest Edgar Wright protagonist to come out of all of his films so far, which kind of plays into it. But like, again, as you're saying...
But I don't think like the nuance of just Baby's double life.
It's more what goes on around Ellie, not Ellie herself as a character.
Yeah, that's fair.
But like, it's seeing the effect to see her go from point A to point B that is more interesting than the actual like what goes on within her herself.
Yeah.
In this film, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Which again isn't a bad thing.
Right. And like, it actually like explores like it's interesting to see how like nostalgia, and I think one thing that really kind of struck to me was the whole everything's like it's so good, but then like seeing her discover the actual truth.
The nostalgia
like,
is the
this
horror.
Is a very like the industry that like she thought was so illustrious and that she romanticized was just loaded with
I think this is a very
stuff.
good example of just the inversion of nostalgia as just an element of horror.
Yeah. So
I think you did a good job describing it. If I had to sum it up just with criticisms, I would say Last Night in Soho has very good horror elements and characters in a story that I guess, just for lack of a better phrase, could have come together better. Like if the script had, like if you got 2 more eyes on the script and you gave it a couple more passes, then I think you could really nail something like this.
Right.
Which again, it's not bad, but the great ideas I think the great ideas only make up 2 or 3 bones in a skeleton that kind of
Needs, like, a
topples
bit
over.
more.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
little stuff.
It's true.
I liked
I do
watching
think
it.
there's some stuff. But yeah, like, I do think there are some stuff that, like, I feel like Edgar Wright wouldn't necessarily deal with. Like, I think some character, like, a lot of his side characters that don't get as much attention as, like, Ellie and Sandy, which is Anna Taylor-Joy's character. I feel like some of them do feel a little, like, one-dimensional, and, like, I feel like there could have been a bit more nuance in how they were portrayed. So, I will say, like, that is some of the weakest writing that Wright has produced. But it's not, like, soul-crushingly awful, as, like, I feel like some people are trying to make it out to be.
I wouldn't say it's that level.
Which I feel like is bad coming from me, knowing that I have a complete bias for Edgar Wright, and so knowing that the mob mentality is to say boo-boo on this movie, it just doesn't really help my case to try to defend it, apparently, so...
Yeah, I would say my least favorite thing is just how some of its elements or building blocks just don't really get enough justice. Because do you ever watch something and, like, you get that creeping feeling where you go, like, oh, I can sense that we're getting to the third act, and I've seen all of the stuff that the writers have introduced.
Right.
Are we not going to get proper closure to all of that? And then, like, you'll go further into the movie and go, oh, no, we're super not getting that. And I rewatched Soho with friends, and with the context of the first viewing out of the way, I was able to watch it more for what it was and go, like, oh, there's a plot hole, and oh, why did they do that? And I looked it up later, too, and people were saying the same thing, so I don't think I was just making them up. I think the school angle is kind of dropped as the horror goes on, which is kind of a shame because I think that's a very big factor in Ellie's stress.
I mean, I feel like it could have been explored more, per se. Like, I do feel like it spends more time in 1960s London than it could, like, it doesn't have quite enough balance between both realities, but I don't think it gets dropped, per se. Like, I still feel like there are scenes, like, I do remember there was some stuff in the third act where it's like, oh, I gotta, like, explore the library, but then she has, like, that anxiety attack and, like, flashbacks, and she almost stabs someone in the eye.
Her roommate.
Yeah, like, I guess in that regard, like, the first act is comprised of, like, oh, she's, like, kind of getting used to, like, the big city and college and all that, but if anything, I think that's fine in terms of the progression, because I feel like seeing her, like, kind of have those, like, freak outs and, like, oh, she ripped up the dress she was, like, at first working on, and seeing, like, oh, I'm, like, so excited to get into this, but then seeing, like, the actual consequences of that play out over time. Truly, like, that was some good stuff, but, like, I do feel like it spends a bit more time in 1960s London, even though I feel like it could have spent some time balancing
Yeah, it's
out
weird.
some
like,
of the modern elements.
The 1960s stuff, like, should be the focus, and I'm glad that it's there, but I don't know. Just, like, also...
Like, I would say that, though. Like, I just feel like maybe the school stuff could have gotten a bit more... The school stuff, yeah. Like, relevance. But
maybe some more roommate stuff for us to have a debate over them.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you need 4 more, though, to make it a nice and proper debate, but...
I mean, there were more than 4 people in that dorm.
No, because within the room itself, you need
only 2.
4 more.
I see.
Put an image here to give context, but... Yeah.
Okay.
I will say, I've only seen this once, and I definitely want to rewatch it, because I feel like maybe my opinion's going to be dropped a little bit as time went on. Because, like, I think when I walked out of the theater, I'm like, oh yeah, that was like a 4 out of 5. But I think over time it dropped down to like a 3.5. But
just as you thought about it more.
Yeah, as it kind of permeated more in my mind. But yeah, I'm kind of frustrated that a lot of people are like, 5 out of 10, 4. Like, it's not that bad. This is the reason why a lot of films today are very poorly received, is because when someone actually wants to make something like half decent instead of just mediocre filler, apparently you don't want to support that. So congratulations, America. Good choice there. So.
Well, going back to the good stuff, the escalation I think was the strongest part.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright's really good at that.
Yeah.
Just I guess the deterioration in both of the setting and Ellie's own mindset is really where I get the most stressed when watching Soho. So I'm really thankful that was, like,
Yeah.
a lot of the focus when it came to what was going on.
Yeah. I will say that's like, compared to like his early works like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and the Cornetto trilogy, it was kind of interesting because it does feel somewhat subdued with like a lot of the callback kind of a stuff you'll see. Like, I do know that there was some in there that was kind of nice where it was like kind of near the start when she goes to like that bar, they're like, oh yeah, we're hiring. And then she's like, oh yeah, whatever. And then like later in the second act when she's like, what should I do? And then to like get information, she looks up and is like, oh, you can work at the bar. And it's like, oh yeah.
And the old guy's like,
So-
your name sounds like that one song. And then when she confronts the same old guy later, the song is playing in the bar.
I know. I will say though that I feel like this is like the weakest of his like callbacks because like for example, like in Shaun of the Dead, a great example that always comes to mind is like, I mean, I guess I'm kind of spoiling this for you. I'm so sorry, Sam.
Oh.
But like, there's a scene near the start where it's like Sean is talking to his roommate, and he's like, he's like trying to tell him, hey, can you like just do some stuff around the place? But like, his roommate is playing like Halo or something, so he's like, oh, shoot at the top left. Oh, make sure to reload and all that. And he's like giving him like instructions on what to do. But obviously, it's like super low key. You get to like the finale and like they're inside this like bar holed up and like zombies are coming in everywhere, and then they like pull out a rifle that's stored in the bar, and he's like, oh, top left, and then like he flicks over and shoots the zombie. He's like, reload. And so you see that callback, but it's so naturally infused into the actual screenplay that you never see it coming.
Well, you love your callbacks.
I know, that's why he's like one of my favorite directors, because it's so well tightly constructed and so no nonsense that I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing too. The way you mentioned just with the callbacks, the setup of the bar. I think that's a really good way to lean into the fact that everything in this movie before things get out of hand and bad is set up really well. Just like with the natural progression of moving into London, kind of being uncomfortable in that taxi drive over to where she has to be, but kind of subduing it, meeting her roommates, seeing that she's not great, doubting herself in the school, moving, and then that's when things get really bad.
Yes, as a college student myself, I can definitely attest to how realistic a lot of that feels. It spoke to me. This was my free guy. This was good. Yes, that is my acceptance speech. Thank you.
All right. You want to talk about the cast? Cast of characters? Because I think they're all played pretty well. You got Ellie.
Got
you
some
have
good
Sandy, who was a really, really good foil to Ellie.
Yes, good duality there. So.
Again, like the school-related characters, the roommate doesn't really come back. There's the one guy that's really nice to her and like goes out with her. I forget his name. I kind of wish there was more of him, even though he does show up more towards the end.
Yeah. Which I kind of like more because like as she gets like more like engaged with interacting with him, he gets more screen time. So
right, because she kind of confides in him more.
In a natural sense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, the cast is good. Do you want to get into spoiler stuff before we?
Yeah, finish it off.
The ending.
The twist.
The twist.
We might say. It's the grandma.
Exact. Well, not a grandma.
No, it was the grandma. Remember?
I mean, she's not a grandma. She's the person who.
Yes, she is.
What?
She's like 80. You saw the film twice, Sam.
Very assumptive of you to say that she has grandchildren.
Well, but she is a senior citizen, so she is...
Okay, that doesn't mean she has children.
You don't know.
You don't know.
What if they make a sequel?
What?
Last Night in Soho kills.
But she's
she
dead.
walks out of the fire, and then she starts killing all
She's dead.
No, because I'm saying, what if it's like immediately after, and then she walks out of the fire and starts killing all of the firemen?
And the movie's bad, but the kills are good. I see.
There you go.
Well,
but yeah, I mean,
the ending.
The twist ending, really. Because, like, because she stays in the apartment, and then, like, her landlord is like, this old lady, and like she's like, London, and like she's kind of has some.
I've seen people come and go. Yeah, there might have been some
very like offhand stuff. You kind of wave off
because Ellie's whole thing towards the end is that she witnesses the murder of Sandy in one of her flashbacks, And so the whole
Yes.
time after that, she's trying to catch the guy who she
Yeah, it's a
thinks
murder
did it.
mystery.
And granted, that's kind of like glazed over, but after all of that, after he dies and she realizes she got the wrong person, she like just decides to leave. So like there's kind of a sense of comfort when like, she goes back to the apartment and she goes to the, reliable landlady who's like, they're there. It's okay.
I mean, I wouldn't really say she was super reliable, but like you wouldn't really think much of her because she wasn't doing much with Ellie.
I mean, she was kind of I'd argue she was a bit of a confidant up until that point.
Yeah, in a sense, in some aspects.
Mm-hmm. But then.
But then.
Oh,
but then.
You want
She was the voice of Princess Peach the whole time.
Okay.
And she killed all of the people on Reddit that made fun of her. She got really angry, and then she bided her time in London.
Yeah. So Anya Taylor-Joy is actually the villain of this movie, and she tries to kill Ellie. And they reincorporate "You're My World," the song that introduced her at the beginning of the movie.
Ooh.
Which is cool. And I'm on board with that twist. I was freaking out with my friends in the theater when that happened. But I also kind of want to say that, like, towards the end, I think it's kind of something that is brought up and dumped a little too fast for me.
So the pacing is a little off.
Because it's such, like, a no-brainer twist that makes sense that I almost wish it just had more development. It's just something that's like, oh, by the way, I had something, but now I'm dead. Yeah. And watching that again, I'm kind of like, oh, wait, that sucks. Not sucks. That's kind of too mean, but...
it's a bit underwhelming, I guess, is where you're getting at.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And then the part of the ending that I really don't enjoy is when it just flashes forward randomly to when she's graduating or something at her fashion school.
I'm not sure if she's graduating or if it's like...
a presentation.
She's like... Yeah, it's like a presentation, I think, or something.
But yeah, it immediately jumps to that right after they were whisked away in a hospital.
The whole house burned down and everything, and like she's getting taken away.
And it's not the worst, but just the fact that they jumped to that immediately after this out of nowhere, just visual and auditory
finale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barrage of stuff kind of felt like jarring, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure that was handled as well as it could have, because I'm on board with just like the closure that she has, but I don't know. It's just like, and she lived happily ever after. The end.
No, she saw Anya Taylor-Joy in the mirror.
Well, no, but that symbolizes that like she's comfortable with acknowledging the past and what it's done to Anya Taylor-Joy, and she accepts it.
Oh, well. If you thought that was jarring, don't look up the ending to Resident Evil 7. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, good movie.
Yeah, again, good movie.
I certainly want to rewatch it.
Mm-hmm. Overall, it's a couple of really good bricks, really strong bricks that could use some more...
a little more foundation.
Yeah,
to it
whatever the glue is between them, like mortar.
Yeah, a little stronger.
Mortar.
Yeah.
Still good.
Cement.
Cements. Yeah, that's obvious. Yeah.
Duh. So.
Sorry.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Is that it?
I guess that do be it.
Wow, this is one of our shorter episodes too. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, it's probably because like we don't have like 7 different movies we have to talk about. Just
right,
3 this time.
or one big one that we go all in on.
Yeah. Same with like I guess our pre-movie talk, because like the Game Awards like took up a good chunk of what we talked about, but then like we went through Omicron, HBO Max, Disney Plus, the Hulu deal, and the Cowboy Bebop show in like what 15 minutes.
Pretty much.
So.
Still, good job.
Yeah.
I had a great time. Thank you for watching,
We talked about some games, talked about some movies. We're going to play a game.
Oh, we sure are.
This coming week. So.
It will be very
hope you
family game of the year worthy.
No, family multiplayer game of the year. Get it right.
Oh, yes. Where are my manners?
So, yeah. You know the game director of It Takes Two is also a filmmaker? He's like directed some movies.
Really?
Yeah. He's made like a bunch of like... he made like a bunch of like movies in like 2003 and like 2005, but like not a lot of people have seen them. So
Maybe we
But
can
he's
talk
done
about
that.
them in the future.
we might, and
Who
we might even
knows?
talk about It Takes Two. Maybe not saying we will, but who knows?
It'd be
Maybe
pretty
we
cool.
will. Yes. So,
All right. Well,
alrighty.
this is it.
Yeah, this is the end of
Thanks
the road
again for
this
watching,
episode.
and we'll see
Thanks
you
for
when we
watching.
come to the main event. And we inevitably argue about the absolute size of Kingpin.
Yes. Oh no. What's about the Mets? So
It is about the Mets. Like, no one's disputing the Mets, Grant.
it's about the Mets, baby. The Mets. Let's go. Come
The
on,
Mets
baby. Hit a
too.
home run. Here we go.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yes. Yeah. So.
With that, I guess we're going to be over and out in 3, 2, 1.
See ya.